Good morning, welcome to Tristardigging. I appreciate you joining us today. I was getting ready to load up the skid steer and then go pick up the mini excavator down the road, and I noticed that my hydraulic oil is pretty low in the skid steer. And I saw some clear liquid on the trailer the other day. I thought it was the air conditioner leaking, the water leaking out of the air conditioner. But now that oil is low, I need to raise the cab on this thing and see if it's a hydraulic leak or in fact it was the air conditioner. But that hydraulic fluid went somewhere. So let's crack the cab open on this skid steer and see what we find. Not too big a deal to raise this cab. Just takes a minute. There's two bolts. Let me show you where they are. There's two bolts in here, one right here and one in the exact same place on the other side. And to start the day off, look at there. Socket fell off of my wrench, fell behind the track here, and now it's back in there. I don't even know if I can reach it. Can y'all see that back in there? Oh, barely. There it is. Let's get this thing off here and see if we got a leak, or hopefully it's not a leak. There's that side. So, got those off now, and we'll raise this thing up and see what it looks like. It is kind of heavy though, and there's shocks on it right here on both sides. That's supposed to help with that. They're wore out. Let's climb in here and take a look, see what we got. I see some wet on this big line right here, but it looks like give me a flashlight. Can't see nothing. Can y'all? All right, now we got a flashlight. Let's climb back in here. The water I saw dripping out the other day was coming from underneath this plate right here, which there's no oil at all on or around that plate. So I feel pretty confident that was condensation from the air conditioner. And right now I don't see anything that's leaking to the extent that it would cause a leak like would use that much hydraulic fluid. I don't see anything in here. There's a little bit of a drip or seep right there, but that is very minor. Probably coming out of that big hose right there. And now then you can see my gauge is over 3/4 of the way full now, almost in the red the other way. I think I'll just keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't leak any through the day. So I'm confident now it's not a major hydraulic leak, so we are good to go to work. Now as I'm climbing out of here, what we're going to do today is got to go down to Ooltewah, Tennessee, and I've got a guy down there that's I've worked for a lot. Matter of fact, he's a pastor of that church where I did that big retaining wall project and stormwater system down in Ringo, Georgia. So we're going to his house today, and we're going to dig some footers around an existing, I think it's an office. And so we're going to dig out around that, and he's going to add an addition to that. So let's go do that. job site, and you saw from the drone videos there the aerial shots of the house site that we're looking at building this pad on. And I take some measurements, did some laser readings, and looks like we're going to build a pad 50 by 70. And I've gotten a good start on that already just before lunch, and that's after lunch I'll get started back on it. And so the corners will be, one corner is there, over there, and then right here behind the skid steer and then where I'm standing. So all this dirt's gonna come out. It's gonna be about a 4.5 foot cut up there in the top end. And we're putting the spoils over here on the front side of the house. That's gonna help build kind of a front yard in the front here. I'll get that smoothed out, and it'll be kind of steep going back down the road, but there'll be a little bit of a front yard there for it. But it'll take a few hours to dig this out, and then a little bit of time to get it on grade. I guess it was probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half, that I was here and cleared all this off for this house site, and we moved all the logs and brush off of it. But now it's ready for the house, and that's what we're doing. We're gonna build a pad. I'm gonna time lapse a good portion of digging this out, and then I also got some road repair to do coming up here. The ditches have gotten full of sticks and leaves and washed out the road pretty bad in places. It's a real steep driveway. We'll get to that a little bit later, but for now, let's get this pad dug out. A little bit of update. I got all that pulled out there now. I got a pretty good hole made, but I'm running into some rocks. They're not solid limestone rock. It's not going to be a really big issue, but I've switched over to the mini. Got the 2-foot bucket on it. I'm going to dig these bigger rocks out and probably bale some of that dirt behind it, and then just push it off with skid steer. See how that goes. Just as I said, it wasn't solid rock. That one right there is looks like it's pretty solid. There we go. We'll call that Lisa's rock. Start it rolling and see where it ends up. Let's see what the skid steer can do with it. just got it out of the way for now. We'll deal with it later. I'm gonna get some more of this stuff hogged out of here and check back in a little bit. Okay, that's where we are for now. I've been working on that for a little while, and we see that big rock there that I dug out a while ago. I'm starting to run into a bunch more rock back here in the back side of this. It wasn't too bad up front, but now that I'm running into stuff like that, the skid steer's just not making any time getting this dug out and then getting the dirt over there. And kind of explain why I've got the 304 and a 259 for doing a project like this. You know, it's a pretty good project for the skid steer and that Mini X. Really because the pad area comes back to right here where this stub is. Let me show you that and then we'll look back at it. So the back of the pad is here, and we've still got all that dirt to come out, and it's got to be a 4.5 foot cut here. The reason the skid steer and the Mini X is here is because originally when I was coming down to do this job today, we were going to dig footers and do a little bit of dirt work around an existing office and little apartment style house here, and they were going to do an addition onto that. But after we talked here for a pretty good while, the idea now is to go ahead and build the house that they want to build rather than building onto this. And what we was going to do this morning was dig footers for the addition, but now we're going to build a house. So that's why I started working on that with these. Those are fired, they're out. I'm gonna bring the D5 back tomorrow, get that hogged out of there, get that pad on grade. What I'm gonna do now is switch gears and go work on the road. The road ditches have got stopped up and got some bad erosion down the road. You'll see that in just a minute. And we'll work on that the rest of the day. Now then, we'll take a look at this road. And back when I was up here before clearing those trees for the house site where we're doing the foundation now, I rebuilt this road. Well, I say rebuilt it. I cleaned the ditches out and regraded the road, put crown in it. But over time, the crown has come out of it. The ditches have gotten full and water is running down the tire track of the road, really on both sides. So what I'm going to do, I've got the 4 foot grading bucket on the excavator. I'm just going to go down through here and clean that ditch out and then regrade the sides of the road, this side, and then come over here and regrade this side, get those edges cut back off, and then can put some rock back on it and create a crown again so that water should shed off. But the main thing, most important thing on these roads, especially steep roads like this one, is keeping the ditches clean. Case in point is this right here. There's a log or an old tree limb has fell across it, which creates a dam, dams up leaves, and then next thing you know, water is coming across that dam and over into the road and cutting down the middle of the road. This is not as bad as it was when I fixed it the first time, so we'll get this dressed up and fixed up. All right, that's what we're looking for, a good deep ditch right there and a good swell. And we're gonna carry that all the way down to the bottom of the road right there to get this good and cleaned out. I'm gonna get this ditch dug pretty big and deep because I know Jimmy ain't gonna keep the leaves out of it. got the ditch cleaned out now down to where the excavator is, but I want to show you the worst part of the road. If you see this gully that's coming through, it's in that right tire track if you're going up, and then it comes down through here, cuts across that tire track, and then cuts across the road and gets back in that ditch there. And the reason for that, all that wash coming down through here, is because it jumped the ditch up here. And I'll show you that as we go up through here. So the water was coming down the road, essentially mostly in this right tire track. Some was in the ditch, but mostly in that right tire track. And it was coming down to this area right here, and I actually cleaned out a little bit more of this than I wanted to before I showed you. Water wants to run in a straight line. So as water's coming down through here, it hits this obstruction, these leaves and sticks and rocks, stuff that's over here. And rather than run across that, it's going to run around it. Path of least resistance. So what happened, it took a left right there, come into here, it couldn't get back into the ditch. So it come right down this area here and cut right down the road and back over into that ditch. I'm going to have to be creative and find some stuff to put back in this canyon right this canyon right here. I don't know what I'm going to do about that just yet. But the main thing is I've got to get the water where I've stopped right there. Get that open back up and good and deep, because when water tries to make a curve, it wants to go straight, but I've got to get that deep enough so that it stays over there and hugs that bank and comes down through here and goes off where it's supposed to, right down through there. Well, I'm back for day 2, and I brought some backup. You know, the CAT D5K and the 304 yesterday, trying to dig that with all that rock was just, it was tough. It's beating me to death and beating equipment to death. But I brought some backup. I brought the CAT D5 old bully there, and let's walk up here and see what we're going to do this morning to get this done. I've got the front part of it on grade, so to say, fairly good, and I'm just going to start back here and start pushing this off and pushing it back in those woods and spreading it out back in there. I do got to be careful for big rocks like that, because if that sucker takes off, there's a big steep hill that goes down through there. Those can't get turned loose like that. They'll end up somewhere in somebody's house or something. So you got to be careful of those, and I showed you yesterday how far we got to go back with this, so let's get started. it's lunchtime, and just stopped for lunch there, and now I'm gonna fix to get back to work. But I've got a lot of this dirt hogged out now and got it put over here in the spoil pile area. But as I'm digging through this, I feel like I'm in Missouri with Brandon from Elite Earthworks digging up there. I want you to look at this. This is the stuff he digs through a lot. But there's rock seams that run through here. Here's one, matter of fact, and you just got to break that stuff up with the edge of the dozer blade, cut through it, and then you can kind of push it out. I wish I had a ripper on that dozer, but I don't, so I just have to use the edge of the blade, which is not good. I know that, but that's the only way to cut through this rock when you have to. You know, it's here's some more of it, and you just have to get it broke up like that to where you can push it out of the way. Right here's another big piece of it. It's all in this area right here. Front part wasn't too bad. So I'll set y'all up on the tripod over here, and you can watch me fight this rock. I guess you can hear me grinding and cutting through that stuff. Golly, that's bad. Bad stuff. And I've got to dig a footer in this stuff when I get the pad built. I don't know what I'll do with that. I'll have to have I may have to go get the 308 with the ripping tooth on it to be able to dig a footer. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Gosh, those rocks are huge. We got an update here. We kind of positioned the house. The house was going to be this way, so we've turned it this way a little bit. So I'm having to take out and notch out a little bit more ground right in here. But Jimmy's here doing absolutely nothing, so he picked up the camera, so we're gonna make him a cameraman. Have you had any experience being a cameraman?
No.
Well, let's see what you can do. Okay, at the end of day 2, we've moved a lot of dirt today. We just had that front little area notched out this morning when I started. So all this dirt's been taken out over to here. Got a little bit of notch in that corner to do because the house is turning this way now. And then lay that bank back and clean all this up. And then take an hour, couple hours, I guess, to put everything on grade. And then after that, it'll be done. So we should be able to finish it up tomorrow. As you can tell, I'm trying to cut that down to grade. My gosh, it's rocky. I'm just having to cut through it as best I can. It's not solid rock, it's that old sand rock, and occasionally there's some pretty good sized chunks. But you can see one right there. What it looks like, this whole area right here is just a big old rock area. Anyway, I'm cutting through it and getting it down to grade. I'll be back in a little bit when I get this a little bit more cut down. All right, time for a little update here on progress, and I think we got this one done. Is it done, Jimmy?
I guess.
He said he said it's done. Got the pad to where it needs to be. I would like to have that a lot leveler than what it is, but that rock just absolutely would not let me do it. The dozer blade would ride up on the rock, and he just tried to cut it. Just couldn't get it like it was, but like I wanted it. But when we backfill that with rock for the foundation to pour the concrete pad, we can level it with that. But I think it's looking pretty good. Got the cats ready to go home. Got one little neighbor job to do with the skid steer to do a driveway, and then they're going to be ready to go to the house, go to another job. And then this is the back side of that curved wall that I talked about earlier this morning. Now then, that's got dressed up nice, and we got rid of all the extra dirt. I'll show you up here on top what I did with the spools from the pad. And the whole time I was building this, Jimmy kept looking and looking and looking, but I think he's finally come up with a plan for this. This is a nice little perch up here on this hill now, and I think his plans is to put a fire pit and a swing up here, so that would look pretty good up here. Got this back area, there's a lot of rock in that, got some topsoil on that, dressed up nice for it. Put some grass on that, and then the front side dressed up nice as well.